welcome back to Long Automotive. Today we're going to do Volkswagen stuff, and I'm really excited to get some Volkswagen content on the channel. Now, of course, you've seen the thumbnail. At first glance you'd think, well, why aren't we working on the GTI? And the reason is it has some ignition issues, and I really want to get some parts in and maybe do like a fix-it video with that car, and then at that time we'll go through it and I'll show you, I'll show you the ins and outs of it, what it's about. Really, it's my perfect GTI. But we're not talking about that today. Today, we're going to talk about my ALH diesel swap stage 4 Volkswagen pickup truck. This is my daily driver, believe it or not. It has an ALH swap done to it. It has a stage 4 Malone tune, 1019 injectors, VNT 17 turbo, front mount intercooler. What else? I think that's it. I really want to go to like a 11mm injection pump, get a retune, but honestly it doesn't need it. We'll do a drive later and you'll see this thing has plenty of power. It's completely stock otherwise, apart from the drivetrain swap. So I don't know, do we need more power? It already doesn't hook in first and second. I mean, what more do you want? Let's take a look at it. Like I said on the intro, this is a 1982 Volkswagen Rabbit pickup truck. They sold these in this country from, I think, the late 70s through the early 80s, as late as even like 83, 84. But most of the ones you're going to find, and most ones I've seen, are 81s and 82s, maybe 80s. This one is an 82. After 1980, they went to what's called the late Westie. That's this front end. They're completely different from the German trucks. All the trucks here were made in the US. And you can see that in a lot of areas. That here, made in USA. And the name Westie gives tribute to that, right? They were made in Westmoreland, Pennsylvania. This one's got a little camper shell on it. It actually came with this. A lot of people ask me where I got the camper shell. They're not that hard to find, believe it or not. This one's a Lear, and there's several different types. So of course you've seen by now we got the teddy bears. These are original Renault teddy bears, not a copy of any kind. I actually got really fortunate and got them for a very reasonable price through some friends of mine, and I love them on this truck. It allows me to run stock size tires, which is really nice, and it just kind of fits the whole vibe of it with stock size tires. I don't have to run anything crazy, stock rod height, it's super comfortable. Now I did have to make a little tool here for the center caps, but not a huge deal, just some bar stock cut down with some pins pressed in the end of it to fit the special nut that the teddy bears have. I really want a useful truck. I thought about lowering this thing for a long time, and I started to buy some of the stuff like the GTI front lip for the bottom I have to make it look a little bit more aggressive and look cooler when it is lowered. But after having the truck and using it for a while, I really have zero interest in that. It's completely fine the way it is. And yeah, like I said, it's completely stock rod height on this thing. Now the suspension has been rebuilt, so it's got new shocks and stuff in it, but stock springs, stock rod height, stock size tires. These tires are awesome because I want to say they're $50 or $60 a piece. They're really not expensive. And you can really tell walking around the truck, it's a super straight body. These things are really bad about rusting as well, and this one only has that one little spot on the door, and that's really the extent of the rust. We'll lift it up here in a sec and you can see underneath it. It's got the nice step bumper. Unfortunately, this particular one doesn't have the stamping. I wish it had that. Some of them had like a dealer stamping here in that area or on the other side. This one doesn't. Still cool nonetheless. A lot of people think these bumpers are super ugly. can't really argue. I mean, they are kind of ugly, but for what I want to use the thing for, it fits best. So how I got into this particular pickup truck, a lot of my family has them as well. Not necessarily pickups, but Volkswagens of many flavors. And I reached out to an uncle of mine who owns a shop, and I know he has some stuff sitting around, but I didn't know exactly what. I was just like, hey, I'm looking for one. I thought maybe I saw one that he had. So I reached out to him, and turns out, you know what? He does have a pickup truck that I could get a hold of. And he is willing to sell it, much to my surprise, honestly. It had been fixed in the past for somebody. I can't remember exactly the story, but it had been repaired. It was originally a 1.6 diesel truck. It had a brand new, very, very low mileage remanufactured Volkswagen engine in it. And that's how I got it. I got it running and driving essentially straight off the lot, just by putting a fuel filter on it, throwing some power to it, and running ATF through the injection pump, which is a diesel trick you guys will know. Of course, I had to do a little bit of cleanup to it. I got it home. I drove it for a while like that, but the 1.6 diesel, it's just not enough power. It makes something like 40 horsepower, 45, 46 pound-feet of torque. It's not much. You end up driving the thing flat out all the time. And you can't, I mean, you can take it on the highway. People take Volkswagen buses and Beetles on the highway. I don't recommend it, but you can do it. And this thing's the same way. Flat out, you get maybe 60 mile an hour. And with the swap that's in it now, we'll pop the hood for you. It is quite a bit more than that. So if you know the ALH engine, this is going to look super familiar to you. This is really just an engine that I bought from a friend of mine off a pallet. He didn't want it anymore for a project that he had sold, and let me have it for a screaming deal I couldn't pass up. I'll be honest with you, 100% when I bought this thing, I said to myself, okay, you have entirely too many project cars. Don't need another one. Now, all right, I'll admit to you, this engine swap's a fairly big project, right? But I didn't want to modify it. I wanted to keep it stock turbo, stock boost, everything. Little known to me at the time when I bought the engine, it actually had a VNT 17 turbo and a South Bend Stage 3 clutch bolted to it already. And that kind of made my mind up and set me in the direction that I went down with the big injectors and the tune and all this other stuff. So as far as engine mods go, you can't see it, but yeah, the VNT 17 turbo's down there. There's a little bit of difference in how the intercooler pipe comes up on the VNT 17 versus the VNT 15. The 15 would be kind of more straight in this area instead of coming back around the side. These intercooler pipes I made myself, and I made this dimple dyed little radiator bracket deal with the Rabbit on it myself as well. You see S&P stamped on that fan shroud. That's their fan shroud and their radiator. The intercooler is actually from a company called DO88 out of Sweden. They make a lot of Volvo stuff, and I thought they had a real fair deal on universal fitment intercoolers. You can see peeking in the grill there. That gives it away right at a stoplight. Speaking of grill stuff, I really want you guys' opinion on something. Jump down in the comments if you think I should leave this egg crate grill on it that came only on the diesel trucks, or if I should switch to this Hella fog light grill. This grill originally came to me on the Rabbit GTI over here, but I decided that I had to have the red stripe GTI grill on it, but I still have the Hella grill. Now if I don't use this, I will put fog lights on it. I have a set of the Bosch fog lights that go under the bumper down there, but I don't know, I go back and forth. So what do you think? If you have an opinion on this, please let me know in the comments which way you would go. Would you keep it original with that egg crate grill, or would you put the rare, hard to find Hella fog light grill in there on it? Coming inside the truck, super clean stock seats. The interior was real gross when I got it, but ultimately not bad. This is the carpet that came in it under these mats here, and it's really not that bad. I was genuinely surprised when I cleaned that stuff up. And if any Mark 1 guys are looking, these Motor Trend mats, they sell them in all kinds of colors. They seem to match the Mark 1 interior colors pretty good. I put a little 917 style wooden shift knob in there. I really like that. And I got this Momo wooden steering wheel. I think that really ties together with the wooden dash trim on this thing. Had to put the GTI gauges in it, of course. You got to monitor all your stuff, a little boost gauge, volt gauge, and a pyrometer for safety. I really want to put a VDO outside temperature gauge in that center slot there where the volt gauge is. I just haven't gotten around to it. And I'll be honest with you guys, I'm really not a fan of these carpet dash pads. I think they look super cheesy, but I'll pull this up for you here. This dash is absolutely destroyed. And when they look this bad, I think it's acceptable. You got to do something, and the dashes are hard to find these days. Speaking of super cool things you'd like to see, especially for something this age, you never see this level of documents with a truck, with anything. So it has the original warranty card, Johnny Long, no relation to me, original owner's manual. This stuff, I'm not going to go through it because it has personal information, but this is like the original loan that he got from Wachovia, tire adjustment policy, the window sticker from '82. Check it out, $8,100 on this thing, 42 mile a gallon estimated, and originally a Charlotte, North Carolina sold truck. There's another shot of that original window sticker. Again, just stuff you never, ever, ever see on something this age. And you can see options listed as well. Very basic truck. Only thing they've got checked is air conditioning and a radio kit. And it shows this truck doesn't have anything special on it. Very honest, original truck. I got this thing in the air. Take a look at it. You notice right off the bat, that's the bottom of the ALH engine. This is actually the hybrid steel aluminum oil pan. Now honestly, I probably could have stayed with the all aluminum oil pan on this truck given that it's stock rod height, but the oil pans on these things hang down pretty low, and I just didn't want to risk busting one. The pan that came with it had a hole in it from being thrown around and loaded on a pallet, dropped, whatever. So I had to change it anyways, and S&P Performance actually offers an all steel oil pan that I bought at the same time, but I just didn't think it was necessary, and I thought that this was a good balance of what I actually needed versus what was, a little bit overkill, and I sold that steel pan. Speaking of S&P, see their logo again there. There's a lot of S&P stuff on this. This is just the cross brace that ties the control arms together. Similar to what's on that GTI actually, except that one's made by a company called Eurosport. Same idea. These things, the control arm geometry isn't awesome, and when you start really loading the control arms, they flex quite a lot. So this truck actually has the whole S&P mount set, lower brace, it's called the torque tamer front cross member, I guess you would call it, is in there as well. Their radiator, a lot of S&P stuff. I went with S&P because they're kind of local. They're in Tennessee. I'm here in North Carolina, and he does a really good job. The mount kit bolts up to the engine and drops in with no modifications. I didn't have to do anything to modify those mounts apart from press the rubber pieces in, and that's really nice when you can just get away with buying stuff. So you can see this is a 2 1/4 inch stainless exhaust. It's from Tectonics Tuning. It is 304 stainless, and you can see some MIG welds there. I didn't have access to a TIG at the time, and this downpipe, while it was advertised to fit, did not fit my truck for this swap. And especially when you get, I don't even know that you can see it, when you get up tight in the turbo, it just did not fit, so I had to cut it up to help it along there. There's your stock Mark IV shift box with the cables. It is undermounted in this application. I think you can mount them up top. I chose not to do that. But everything else is pretty much standard. Those are 16 valve Scirocco axles. Looks like we've got a little bit of oil here. It's news to me. I'm not going to worry about it. And as you come back, you can see how clean this truck is, man. It's really nice. I'm really happy with it. And there's that, see that one hole I was talking about? That goes inside. That's not great, but it does have that hole. Stock tank, never been in it. It was clean. And again, there's that 2 1/4 inch Tectonics stainless exhaust. The rest of it fits really nice. It was just the front section didn't fit good. And then I modified it with a little turn down here because it came short and it was blowing diesel all over the back of my bumper. This is just not my thing, so I wanted to keep my quarter panel clean. Oh, while we're driving, don't worry about the oil pressure light. As long as the oil pressure light's on, we're good, we got oil. As long as you know what you got, I think we're okay. Now if it goes out, let me know, I want to know about it. But if it's on, we're good. Some things in here work. The radio lights up, that's pretty good. No actual noise comes out of the speakers. That button works. This one kind of works. I wouldn't go over 2 because it squeals at you. No AC anymore. That actually works. You do get warm air. And I upgraded to the billet window cranks, which is super nice. It's an old Volkswagen still. You got to go in reverse slow if you want to keep it. I really don't think it needs any more power. It makes about 20 to 21 pounds of boost like it is. And I would like to upgrade to that 11mm injection pump that the automatics came with, but it's not really a necessity. It makes plenty of power. It may be just something I do if I go back and do a retune in the future. Like I said, for right now, it's just fine. Setup on this thing is perfect for these rough old country roads. You really don't have to worry about much in this truck. I do drive my other cars. They're set up, you know, a little stiffer, a little more for handling. Not that this does not handle. I think because of that lower brace, it handles pretty good actually. on. That's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. And I just want to give a genuine thanks to everyone that's hit that subscribe button for me, or liked a video, or just shown support to me on my Instagram page, in person, anything like that. I really appreciate it. I have zero experience doing this kind of thing, believe it or not. And we're kind of learning as we go here. The channel so far has been way more successful than I ever thought it would be. And I just really want to thank you guys that have helped me do that so far. And I'm really excited about where we can bring this thing in the future. Hopefully soon. I do have some merch designs going together, and I want to get some t-shirts made and get that kind of thing. I'll admit a lot of it is just for me to have a cool t-shirt to wear, but I will be trying to sell some. So if you're interested in that, maybe drop a comment. And if you haven't checked out the Long Automotive Instagram page, give us a shout. You can find me at Long Automotive. I'll put the link in the description below, and we'll see you there as well. Again, thank you so much. Stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next one.